So in this series that spans 15 books, there's going to be a lot of intense scenes that can evoke a lot of emotion. So once again, I'm making a list, checking it twice. This is a list of 5 tear-jerking moments in Wheel of Time. As always, not an exhaustive list by far. There are many, many moments that bring me to tears, and as I have discovered, I am horrible at ranking them because they are all very good scenes. So this is just in no particular order, scenes that bring me to tears every single time I read these books. The first tear-jerking scene I want to talk about is actually a really small scene that involves a character we barely know. It involves Rianne Corley. Rianne Corley was a kinswoman, and she had been training in the tower, and I think she had left because she was too scared to do her accepted test, or maybe it was her Aes Sedai test, but she had fled the tower in fear, and of course you can't leave. Once you've done that, you can't go back. But she finds out that Egwene wants all channelers to be connected to the tower, and realizes that she might have a second chance to go back. She has this moment of glee where she says, I can be green! And it's this beautiful moment of hope and wonder and excitement. She has hope for her future that she has not had for a very long time. And then, several books later, she dies. And it sucks. It's a very small moment. She's a character we barely know. She's tangential at best. But when Elaine finds out she dies, she thinks, oh, she had so wanted to be green. And it gets me every time. Like, I remember the feeling when I read that the first time, thinking, oh, come on, why her? Why not another kinswoman? Why did it have to be this woman who wanted to be green? And I had celebrated with her and looked forward to seeing her get back into the tower. I had anticipated that that would be a scene in the future, and why couldn't it have been someone else? Why did it have to be Rianne? Still makes me cry. The next one on my list is a weird one, because I know this one didn't make me cry for the majority of the times that I've read these books. It's only in recent rereads, like for the last, 5-7 years. Yeah, I've been reading these books for a long time. But it's only in recent years that this particular scene has made me cry. And it's interesting because I'm not entirely sure what has changed. I mean, obviously the books didn't change. It's obviously me. Something in me has changed, but I'm not entirely sure what it is exactly that has made this scene have a different impact on me. It's the scene in Lord of Chaos where Elder Hammond and his wife, I think, Corville, have come basically to Rand looking for Loyal. And through the course of conversation, Rand is asking about the location of Waygates, and the Ogier are describing things that Rand has no knowledge of. They're describing places and people that he's never heard of. And, well, it says this in the books. It says, Corville put a hand on Hammond's shoulder, but the pity in her eyes was directed at Rand. He does not remember, she said softly. Their memories are gone. She made it sound like the greatest loss imaginable. And that hits me now. Later on, when the Ogier are labeling the Waygates on the map, and Rand sees that they're crying, their tears are falling onto the map, that also hits me now. When I was putting this list together, I realized that this is a new tear-jerking scene for me. It didn't used to make me cry. I think what it is this is a big picture tragedy. What the Ogier have let us see is that this is a tragedy that's been happening for a while. You know, the blight has been encroaching inexorably into human spaces, and progress has halted and even gone backwards, and knowledge is disappearing. It's a big picture loss. It's a loss on a global scale, or on a Randland scale, I guess. I don't know. But it's the big picture loss that the world has suffered that the Ogier are letting us see. And it's not just that the humans have lost, space and territory to Shadowspawn and the Blight, and they've lost progress and development. They've also lost the memory that they once had it. I think that scratches the surface of why this scene makes me cry. Maybe it's something to do with being older, I don't know, but it gets me now. So from something that brings me to tears because of sadness to something that brings me to tears because of joy. In a previous video about goosebump-inducing moments, I talked about the scene where Nynaeve heals Loghain. Well, right after that scene, Nynaeve is bustled across town, basically dragged and irritated deliberately by the Aes Sedai. She's dragged across Saladar into a tent, and then Swan is brought to her. And Swan is, Swan's being Swan. She is, the word I always think of to describe her is gruff. She is angry and gruff and rude and direct. She's there, and she doesn't want to be there at all. And Nynaeve realizes, of course, that what's happening, that people are deliberately keeping her angry in order to channel so that she can try healing again, because they don't believe that she did it in the first place. So she grabs Swan by the head and she thrusts the power into her and not, oh God, that sounds dirty. Okay, no. She grabs Swan by the head and she channels and she heals her. That alone, would be wonderful, but it's Swan's reaction, because Swan's reaction is so uncharacteristic. Swan is gruff. She is rough edges. She is rough and crude. But after she embraces the source, it says that she slowly leans forward and kisses Nynaeve on either of her cheeks, and then she weeps. And it's glorious. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. She has just gotten something back that there was no hope, and she has gotten it back. And it is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And her gratefulness in that moment is wondrous. A weird thing that has started to happen recently, again, this is another change in the way I react to these books. It used to really irritate me the way the Yellows reacted, that they basically just ignored Nynaeve, talked over her, and thought about ways to improve what she had done, when what she had done was the impossible. And I do still wish that they had treated her better after she did it. However, the way they react now also gets me kind of choked up, because what they're doing, what the Yellow Aja has just seen, has opened doors. No, I was about to say it's opened doors that they thought were closed. It's not done that. It's opened doors that they didn't even know were there. It has given them hope that healing could be better. And so that's what's happening. They're not ignoring Nynaeve because they think they're better than her. They are super excited about all the new ways they can heal and all the better ways they can heal and all the more people that they can help. And that's amazing. Now when I read what they're talking about, it, like I said, it chokes me up, because I think, oh my gosh, look how excited these women are to help people. That's amazing. That's what these women were wanting to do. They're super excited because now they have better tools to help. And it's great. I love it now. I never thought about this before now, but I can in some ways trace growth, or maybe not growth, just change in myself through the way I react to different things in these books, because I've just been reading them over and over again for such a long time. It's fascinating.
Fascinating.
So, from a moment of tears by joy to a moment of tears brought on by something gut-wrenching. The next moment that will bring me to tears every single time. And weirdly, it brings me to tears in almost the exact same way every single time. There's a very regular progression that I can predict. It is a scene where Perrin finds out that his family is dead. Perrin has rushed to the Two Rivers as fast as he can. He's used the ways, and he's gone there basically wanting to lay down his life for his family. He, was going to give himself up to the White Cloaks in hopes to keep his family and others safe, but he was too late. And when Bran al'Vere tells him that his family is dead, he crushes that cup in his hands, and the wine flows over his hands, and then I always picture big meaty hands trying to, delicately pry apart the metal, but of course his hands are not able to do that. That part, I am devastated every single time I read this, but I am not crying yet. My chest at this point, though, is tight. It's a physical pain that I feel at this point. And then they begin having very pragmatic conversations about the White Cloaks, and it's so painful. And then Fail comes in and is basically okay, stop this. Perrin, your family is dead. Be sad. You have to be sad. You need to let yourself be sad. And the tightness in my chest releases a bit. And at this point, I will have a stinging in my eyes. But I am not crying yet. I am mostly just so relieved that Perrin is going to grieve. He weeps on Fail's stomach. And then we go into the next scene. And there's a moment of comic relief where we get Mr. al'Vere's reaction to the Ogier. And it is, when I say comic relief, I mean that very literally. Because the previous scene is physically painful for me. It's weird. It's a physical pain. And then there's this comic relief, and I sort of relax a bit because, yeah, Mr. Salvir would be shocked to have an ogier. Like, she might have thought ogier were mythical, and now there's one in her kitchen, and that's really funny. And then Loyal offers Perrin that he will sing for the trees on his family's grave. And this is the point. Oh gosh. And this is the point. If I'm reading a physical book, I have to put the book down. If I'm listening to the audiobooks, I have to stop it because I'm non-functional for several minutes until I can calm myself down and pick the book back up again. Gets me every single time. I'm gonna have to watch some kitten videos after recording this. Wow. Okay, final scene on my list. And this is the one that actually is the first one that comes to mind when thinking about tear-jerking scenes in this series. It's a scene from the end of The Great Hunt. It's Ingtar's confession, Ingtar's sacrifice. I love how this scene is written. It's so simply written. There's no, like, extraneous phrases. There's no flowery description in this section. It's just very simple and direct. And it just cuts to the core of what's happening. Like, Rand's shock and disbelief as he figures out what it is that Ingtar is saying to him. Like, oh my gosh. He's a dark friend. Like, that shock, I feel it viscerally. And then the way Rand, even in that moment of shock, immediately just turns it around, and it's not a word that would ever come up in these books, but what he does, it seems, is like he absolves Ingtar of his sins. Again, words that would never be in these books, but that's what he does. He says, I think all you need to do is want to not be one of them. And in my imagination at that point, Ingtar's shoulders relax, and he trusts what Rand has said, what this young guy has just given him. This young guy has given him a way out, a way to be free of what he has done. And then after Rand absolves him and Ingtar decides that he's going to make his last stand, Rand then gives him his last rites, his blessing. May you shelter in the palm of the Creator's hand. The last embrace of the mother welcome you home. It's hard for me to even say that part without crying. It's so lovely. At this point, Rand is so innocent, and yet there's weight in his absolution, in his forgiveness. There's a weight to it, and I feel Ingtar's relief, and it's a beautiful moment. Even though it makes me cry, this is a scene I love. So, yeah, I'm gonna go watch some kitten videos now. Maybe some kittens and cute kids and puppies and candy. I don't know. Something very light and happy to shake some of this off. But those are mine. Again, not an exhaustive list. I probably will make another video of tear-jerking moments because there are more. There are definitely more. But anyway, those are mine. I really would love to hear yours. And, as always, like, subscribe, and stick around for the art credits. Bye!